Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this month's IQ Academy webinar. Thank you for taking the time out to join us on our Brightside session this month, where we'll be taking a look at workforce engagement and the evolving role of safety committees with Viv Russell of Longcliffe Quarries Limited. Due to time constraints, today's session with Viv has been pre-recorded, but if you do have any questions, please send these through on the questions panel to the right of your screen, and we'll ensure these are addressed in the follow-up materials after the event. We'll also have a short questionnaire that will display at the end of the session today. Please take the time to complete this if you have chance, as your feedback helps us to keep the Lunch and Learn webinars relevant to your needs. Our upcoming webinar for next month takes a look at ISO 45001 with Wayne Darwin of Tarmac. To register or find out more information on this, please visit the events page on the IQ website, and the address for that is just on the bottom of the screen now. Our branches are also running a number of events over the coming month. Details are available on the current slide. For further information, please contact your local branch secretaries, and their contact details are available on the branches page of the IQ website.
Today, I'm going to be covering workforce engagement and the evolving role of the Safety Committee. My name is Viv Russell. I'm the MD of Longcliffe Quarries and also Deputy Vice Chair of the Institute of Quarrying. Why have worker involvement? If you take the HSE regulations and guidance, they very accurately say that it makes workplace healthier and safer. It also improves performance and raises standards. But there are other reasons too. There's a moral responsibility that we all have to involve the workforce. It also makes a more attractive place for people to work, and often it helps as a workforce become solution focused. Many places where you've got good involvement, you actually recognise that the workers have good self-esteem, and also it gives you a fantastic resource of experience and knowledge. What does the law say? The 1977 regulations relating to worker representation and safety committees were really an enabler. It was to develop, maintain, measure and ensure health and safety at work. It also was a way of checking the effectiveness of such measures. But it was very, very driven by union safety representation consultation. The 1996 regulations, which was the health and safety consultation with employees regulations, was more aimed at businesses that didn't have union representation, and it was making the employees make sure that they consulted with their employees as individuals or elected health and safety representatives. This was really the first introduction of functioning health and safety committees, where it was advised that they looked at the statistics, incident investigation, risk assessments, training, emergency procedures and changes in the workplace. The 1996 Employee Rights Act was really an act to strengthen the previous regulations, where it made reporting health and safety violations or environmental damage a part of the responsibility of an employee, and also dismissal related to health and safety considered automatically unfair. Are the regulations fit for purpose in today's workplace? Legislation is often accused of setting a tone of confrontation and tends to be backward looking rather than being more proactive. There are many changes in the last 20 years. Labour markets have become far more complex, and the businesses now are actually really looking to attract talent and competing for talent. There have been major changes in technology and how we communicate, and especially you see nowadays with social media. Customers are also demanding solutions and increasing market complexity, having to take responsibility for our customers' sites and their safety. If, for example, the RAG status for bitumen deliveries made a massive change to our industry, when people were actually going to refuse sites that they didn't think they were safe. Implementation of continual and continuous improvement have made a massive change to our business, given us many points of a worker engagement and has improved efficiency and productivity. We've also had a massive improvement in our safety and performance over the last 20 years. And this has moved us away from investigating incidents and really looking at the near misses that we've been having and how we can actually take evidence from those near misses to prevent accidents and instances in the future. If you look at probably one of the main areas where actually worker engagement has been at the forefront is a continuous improvement. With the adoption of the key features of Kaizen, Kaizen is a Japanese word where K is for change, and Zen is for good. And these techniques have got embedded in them feedback, efficiencies, evolution, encouraging workers to take ownership for their own work, reinforcing of team working, and improved motivation. So these are evidence that a worker engagement isn't just a feature of safety. On this slide, the worker involvement slide, these are just examples from different companies where you see worker involvement. You see various team meetings. One in the top corner is actually a sales team meeting where you're discussing safety, as well as the process of order taking and customer complaints. You're also seeing in quarry ones where you're reporting on a daily basis, where you've got customer and worker involvement. Also, you've got tools like root cause analysis. You've also got 5S, where you're looking to improve the workplace, sorting it, setting it in order, sustaining it, shining it, or which is good housekeeping, and standardizing. Also, there are very mature employee suggestion schemes in businesses, tapping into the worker involvement. And also, if you start looking at the workplace environment, you can start seeing the pictures that are in the bottom corner. You can see how you can improve the environment and make the job easier by having the right tools and being able to know where you can find them. Over the time, our management systems have evolved. And if you look at the management systems that we've got now in place, I remember back in the 1990s with the 5750 was the first one, which forced quite a lot of changes, and people were asking, certainly our customers were asking for us to meet the standards. But they've evolved over time. The ISO 45001, the occupational health and safety management, that openly is there to protect and enhance our most important asset, your people, to drive business excellence. That's embedded in that management system. It's also embedded in that management system to increase organizational resilience through proactive risk prevention, innovation, and continuous improvement. So since the original regulations, a lot of things have changed in the quarrying industry that actually mean that worker involvement and cooperation are fundamental to our business. The goal is to access the free brain you get with every employer and contractor. That doesn't matter whether it's a weighbridgeman or whether it's a loading shovel driver or a dump truck or even a lab technician. That free brain is there, that if you can get the engagement right, you'll improve your business and make it considerably safer. So if we reflect now, through continuous improvement, the new systems, there are many, many points of contact for engagement. And really, if you go back to the regulations back in 1979, that really there wouldn't be a need for regulations now saying that you must engage about safety, because it is actually embedded in our industry. Because what we realize is that good safety is good business. But the real question is not where we engage, it's how we engage. The next slide, which is the Belief Iceberg, comes from the skills wheel fact sheet. And it's really important for people to recognize that actually people's mindsets and behaviors are often driven by their beliefs. And we all have our own beliefs. And what we do is we're always collecting evidence either to support our beliefs or to change our beliefs. So how you actually engage with people is very important, because you'll either strengthen their belief that you're a very much a health and safety minded business and you've got their health and safety at paramount, or your behaviours will reinforce their belief is that you don't really care. And it's really important that how you can affect these beliefs and be very, very conscious of what you do can change people's mindsets and behaviours. So how do we change these beliefs and influence the mindsets, behaviours? Key people are actually managers and supervisors. They can influence the evidence to support and change their beliefs through their actions. And often that is actually doesn't necessarily what they're saying. It can be through their physical demeanour. Often this is done naturally by good managers and good supervisors. And if you look at the fact sheets for the skills wheel, about how can we use leadership to achieve zero harm. A lot of that is sites with good safety records. They are managers who actually do this changing of beliefs and influencing mindsets naturally, and good supervisors as well. But this changing of beliefs can be taught and adopted through a site and an organisation as part of behavioural training. If you look at behavioural training, there are really 6 basic fundamentals. There is a lot of research over time in behaviours and how we can change them. But for myself, these 6 fundamentals are really good tools that you can use as a manager in worker engagement, and is a good way where you can either reinforce or change beliefs, which ultimately are changing the mindsets. These are win, learn, change, focus on solutions, look on the bright side, visualise success, play in dynamic zone, and model excellence. These all sound like business speak, but as I take you through the next slides, you'll see how they can be adapted and used in the reality of the quarrying industry. Win, learn, change. This is a very, very powerful tool. And really what we're trying to do is move away from the fact that you actually pass or fail. Every opportunity that, or when something hasn't quite gone right or not what we planned, is an opportunity to learn and make ourselves better. And the industry, if you look back, has taken a lot of learns and has actually changed. So what you have to do is you have to ask your question, what have I learned and what would I change? What has gone well today and that has taken us closer to achieving our goals, so we can capture it and share it. This technique is not only useful for safety, it can be used commercially, it can be used operationally. When you look at a situation, what has gone well, what can we carry on doing, what can we learn, and what can we change? Usually this is a very good template for any meeting agenda. The next one is focus on solutions. By focusing on solutions, people can see many of the other 6 behavioural fundamentals. Having the ability to avoid dwelling on problems, instead put your effort into solutions. This is a really key way that supervisors and managers can help with worker engagement. You're not spending your time looking for excuses of why things haven't. You're looking at what can we do to make things happen. Another fundamental is look on the bright side. If you have a situation when you've had an incident and you look at the negative side of it, this will reinforce people's beliefs that they're not really committed to health and safety. What it is if you can see a positive out of it, it'll change their beliefs. You're looking at not looking to put blame. It also helps reinforcing a just culture. So a very important word is fortunately. Visualise success. This is often very popular with sports people and entertainers. I used to play rugby and I was a prop forward. And my coach used to always say, can you imagine that scrum going forward? And before a game, you'd be thinking about the first scrum and how it would take it forward. But you can use this in business. If you visualize what you want to, it makes it a lot easier to put your plans together. And that can be good housekeeping on the site. There's a good pedestrian vehicle segregation. It's a very, very powerful tool. And it's something that you can actually share with other people. You can take workers and colleagues around the site and you can talk about what do we want to do here, what do we want to do there, and visualize what we want to do. Because it's far easier once you visualize success to put a roadmap in to make sure it happens. Play in the dynamic zone. This all sounds like great business speak, but it is often what we do very, very regularly in work. There's lots of situations when you feel that your performance is improved because you're not running on autopilot. You actually feel consciously incompetent or even consciously competent. What it does is it brings you to break away from the norm. Change means you're in a dynamic zone. So this is you recognize that you're doing something different. And when you recognize you're doing something different, you tend to be thinking about it in a far more in depth. And also what you tend to do is you tend to ask people's advice. So obviously enhance worker engagement. Model excellent, one of my favorites. I often call it shamelessly stealing. Often with people's beliefs, they have the belief of that if it isn't invented here, it's not going to work. And when you actually look around, there are many, many great opportunities where you accelerate improvements by not reinventing the wheel or not inventing it here. You can just see from somebody else and implement it. And safety is a really good example of this, where you actually are having exactly the same problems as other people. Use their solutions, implement them very quickly, and move on. This gets you some really good quick wins and helps with worker engagement. All that was about engaging the individuals. And a lot of the legislation that I talked about earlier was the roles of the safety committee. And really, we have to ask ourselves, as safety committees were originally intended when the legislation was put in, are they fit for purpose now? There's been a big shift from operational to strategic in safety, how we're planning. And the safety committee is a fantastic opportunity to get them involved in more strategic safety. I certainly believe that the safety committee ought to have the strategic review of the safety improvement. The conversations should be forward-looking conversations. And the communication of the safety improvement plan within the workforce is a very important role of the safety committee. And to do this, we actually have to look at, first of all, the composition of our safety committees. Have we got the right people? Because really the safety committees ought to be safety change agents. Just as we were talking about continuous improvement, where you have continuous improvement change agents, the safety committee, if we've got them trained right and we've got them engaged, will be fantastic change agents. And move away from a compliance at a done-to culture to being making sure that we got all the workers engaged. If you're going to start using the safety committee in this new role, what you have to do is you really need to give them a lens so you can look at your business and help them set priorities. Safety has become very complex, and because of all the integration between safety, operations, commercial, logistics, it often helps to distill some key aspects of it. And you can do this through what I call the house of safety. One of the important parts of safety on a site is the accountability and leadership and a just culture. If people don't believe that there is a just culture on site, it's very difficult to change people's beliefs. Also is that the highest standard you'll ever get on a site is what the leader will walk past, or what the quarry manager will walk past, or what the supervisor will walk past. That's the highest standard you'll ever get on the site. So people have to be very accountable. They have to do what they say they're doing. If that's wearing safety glasses, wearing proper PPE, or following pedestrian walkways. If you're actually not doing that as a supervisor, as a leader, or even an employee, it will actually affect people's beliefs. They'll believe they don't really mean about it. So that is a real critical foundation. The next foundation above that is the safe and healthy environment. You can have the best safety standards in the world. You can have the best lagging and leading indicators. But actually, if your site has not good housekeeping, it hasn't got good segregation for vehicles, all that will actually, all you'll do is record the incidents that you're having. You have the best auditing systems, but if you've got the piles of stone everywhere over the walkways, all you'll end up doing is reporting what you've got. You can have the best trained workforce, but actually if the environment isn't right, you will just have a very well trained workforce having trips and falls incidents. If you look at safe behaviours, if people are not exhibiting the right behaviours, as just the same with the safe and healthy environment, you can have a fantastic trained, competent workforce, but if they're not exhibiting the safe behaviours and have got the wrong beliefs, you will not be successful of achieving the goal of zero harm, which is the goal for our industry. The next foundation above that is good standards and safe systems of work. This is making sure that things are documented, and you've got good risk assessments, you've got good systems in place so people are working safely. But like I said before, if you haven't got the foundations in below that, it will be very difficult to have just the systems. And then obviously what comes above that are the pillars. The well-being, it's if you've got a good well-being policy for a business, if you haven't got the right environment, you're going to create stress if you've got effective communication, so really what you're doing is just actually communicating all the instances you've got. And if you take all of those pillars, that they need the strong foundations. And this is a really good way how a safety committee can look and use this as a lens on what areas they should start with. I must admit, I've been in the same place where your safety improvement plan has actually been concentrating on the pillars rather than actually on the foundations. And then all of a sudden you realise why you're actually not making any advances. So this is a really good way of looking at your business. And this is just an example of how we've recently done it in my business at Longcliffe. And we've had in the last year quite a few lost time instances and high potential instances. And we were trying to work out why we were having them. And actually when you got the committee together and you reviewed it, you realised that we had a very good training competency, but the foundations were very, very narrow. And what we were finding is that if there was a change in an environment or a change in something that happened on the works, the roof was falling off, and that would be seen as a lost time incident. So very, very good way of looking at what needs to be done. What we're doing now is mapping our safety improvement plan back to the different aspects from the House of Safety. Also, another really good framework for the safety committee to implement the SIP is making sure that the purpose is sold, why we're doing it. It's also getting the right people aligned, and then having a plan and how you sustain performance. This is all continuous improvement. These are all models that have been used from continuous improvement. And really, what I'm suggesting is worker engagement and the safety committee is taking the skills that the workers have got and the experience they've got. If you bolt on other aspects of that's the workers, good continuous improvement skills, you will get good worker engagement. So in summary, great progress has been made in how we manage health and safety across the industry. I think that if you take myself, I would say the majority of the career that I've had in the industry, I've probably been unconsciously unsafe. It's really important for us to recognise that a lot of us who are senior managers in the industry have moved, and a lot of the workers and supervisors have moved from that unconsciously unsafe to basically consciously safe. But the next challenge is to make sure that we become consciously and unconsciously unsafe. Safety must be owned by all, and it is not the total responsibility of managers. So worker engagement is so important. But I think also now that safety committees have a unique opportunity. As the original legislation was there to force engagement, I think you've got a great opportunity to change that to our active engagement and see them as change agents to spread that change across the business. Various things that I would do is that straight away, anybody who's on the safety committee, I would actually train them in tools of CI 5S. I would put them forward as members of the Institute of Quarrying, so they become aware from the Quarry Management Journal and looking at good practice so they can shamelessly steal from other companies that you see when you're in the Quarry Management Journal. And also celebrate that role. Very much like people celebrate the role of the first aider nowadays, is that a safety committee member, I see, is the first step for somebody advancing through a career in management. I think the industry can only progress if they embrace a continuous improvement approach to worker engagement. And I think this will actually, we will get the safety performance for free. All the tools are already there. I think we just have to refocus on how we engage our workforce and recognise the how engage is really important. And we will then work towards our goal of zero harm. Finally, I would like to just acknowledge fellow colleagues of mine who've had a great deal of input into this presentation through my working career. The Behavioural Fundamentals Marketing Clerk, the House of Safety is shamelessly stolen from ex-colleagues of mine, Mark Underwood, who's retired now, he was with Tarmac, and Bob Robinson, and also the excellent skills wheel fact file, how behaviours support zero harm safety performance. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all of those who took the time out to join us today. Apologies for the issues. We're having some network connectivity problems there. As with the previous sessions, we'll be making a recording of the webinar and the slides available for you to all access. Keep an eye out for an email from us next week with the respective links. If you do have a chance, please provide your feedback of today's session on the questionnaire that will be being displayed shortly. Thanks again for joining us, and don't forget to register for upcoming webinars that are of interest. All details are available on the events page of the IQ website.